Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for our 2022 Women's Forum. I am Debbie Ashenhurst, and it's my honor to serve as the director of the Ohio Department of Veterans Services. And every year I have the privilege of getting to chat with some of the amazing Ohio women who have served in the military, and also those who are outstanding supporters of our veteran community. We do this every year during Women's History Month, and this year we have some wonderful women to open up a dialogue with and allow them to share their stories. A little later, you'll meet some of our valuable staff members at each of our Ohio veterans' homes. But first, we have a very special guest, Representative Laurel Lanise. Representative Lanise represents the 23rd District, the Columbus Grove City area at this point. She's married to Mike Lanise and has 3 children. And I'll get to hear a little bit about them, I hope, here shortly. Degrees from Miami University, The Ohio State University, and Georgetown. Former attorney with the Department of Justice, community college instructor, and really important to me, she's a veteran, has served in the Ohio Air National Guard and the U.S. Army Reserve. I don't know that Air Army thing, but it seems to have worked for her. And she's been a state representative since January of 2017. So please tell me, let's start with, you have a whole family history and current family of service in our armed forces. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure, and thank you very much for having me here today. I grew up on military bases. My dad served in the Navy for 20 years, and it was very interesting. It was during the Vietnam War period, and you can imagine what it was like being a military kid and going to public school during that time. So that was very interesting, and it sort of paved the way for the rest of my family to get involved in the military. My older brother enlisted in the Marine Corps when he was just 17 years old.
Wow.
And he served his 20 and ended up, being a Parris Island drill instructor, an OCS instructor, pretty hardcore Marine. And then when I was 17, I enlisted in the Ohio Air National Guard. I actually hit my head at the beam at their booth at the fair and ended up going in and talking to them and got recruited. And so day after I graduated high school, I went off to basic training, and then went off to tech school, then came back and went to college and stayed in for 7 years and switched to the Army Reserve at that time, and more for career opportunities. I wanted to do both intel and possibly JAG, and I ended up being able to do both of those. And so, like many people, my one regret was getting out. And I ended up marrying a former surface warfare officer. My husband served in the Navy, and I met him when he was in the Navy Reserve, and then he got out, and then he regretted it. And so he went back in, I think he was 46 years old, maybe 47, and he went into the Army Reserve. 9/11 happened, and he felt compelled to go back in. It took him quite a few years because of his advanced age to get back in. And so shortly thereafter, he was deployed to Iraq, and that's what he wanted. He wanted to go and serve. And so that was a different role for me, to be the spouse of a deployed soldier. He just got back from a 1-year mobilization to Fort Hood. So we've done the separation twice now, and it's definitely challenging. And now I'm looking to see about my children going in, and that will be more TBD. I do have a daughter that's in Marine Corps ROTC at UCLA, and she may be graduating here shortly. It depends on some things that are going on with what's going on in the world. And being the mother of kids in the military is probably the most challenging role. And my friends that have done all 3 as well say having a child, especially in these very, very scary times. So I've been able to have all roles, even tangentially related to the military. So it's something I'm very passionate about.
So tell me how your service, and we'll go into a little bit later, but how your service has shaped your life and where it has taken you in life.
I think the biggest thing is you learn teamwork early on. You learn the importance of leadership, both being a follower to a good leader and how to be a good leader. And I think that sets the tone for the rest of your life. I still remember some of those signs that we used to PT around, lead, follower, get out of the way types of signs, and they actually stay with you. And so those are the kinds of things that have had an impact in my life. And if I am ever in a leadership role, to remember what the good leaders before me did and what I appreciated in them.
I think that's your destiny. I really do. Did you face any particular challenges or disadvantages being a woman in the service? or maybe some advantages of being a woman in the service?
There are both advantages and disadvantages, especially when I joined. It was the early 80s, and there were very few women in the military at the time. And I was the only female in my unit, and that was also very challenging. And there were a lot of stereotypes to overcome, and a lot of other challenges that I know many women in the military have faced. But it does make you tougher. You know, that which doesn't kill you does definitely make you tougher. It makes you less tolerant of a lot of other things. But there are also advantages, just like, you know, I see the same thing in the legislature now. With fewer women, you tend to get more noticed, which can also be a very good thing. And you get the opportunity to pave the way for those who come behind you. And I think that's one of the best things about you when you're, whether you want to be unique in that role or not, that, you know, gives you a little extra boost to do your best.
It does, and I really do think that when people can see people like them, it does show them that there's a way. And I remember a moment like that in my history where I saw somebody and thought, oh my gosh, she's like me, I could do that too. So that's pretty important. So you have really seen the full spectrum of military child, military member, spouse, going on parent as a military. So how do you balance military involvement, career, and family, and keep everything in balance? Because you've got a pretty demanding career going here.
Yes, this is probably one of the most challenging jobs ever. It was a little bit easier when I started in 17. And each year we keep thinking it can't get any more challenging, and yet it does. So being a state legislator has opened my eyes to other challenges that families in Ohio faced, and some of them are military. We do have a very large military presence here. And so I try to do as many military-friendly projects, legislation, events that I can do, because I know the unique challenges of a military family, and especially in the reserve, when active duty soldier deploys, the family typically has the support on the base, but a reservist does not. And the very first day my husband left, our sink exploded, and they say those things happen, and then I experienced it, and it's like, who do you call? You don't want to bother people, and it can be very lonely.
Don't have that whole military community wrapped around you where everybody's in the same situation.
Exactly.
I do. You really do have the heart and understanding of what we go through. So our paths have crossed at various events for many years now, and I know that you do care deeply for veterans and our military. So what are the best things Ohio has to offer to veterans and their families? And in your opinion, what more can we do to help serve our veterans?
The number one thing, and it's for the military, is the 100% tuition reimbursement. And that is something that I took advantage of. I know it brings a lot of families into the military, a lot of individuals into the military, and it's often their first exposure to it. I currently know several young students who are either in or are checking it out, and I think it helps to tap into people who would never have considered the military. And a lot of them go on to stay in active duty and go on and serve their 20. But it's a great exposure to the military. It gets us some very trained, mature college students. And I think it just has a ripple effect throughout our community. There have been various movements over the years to expand that to graduate school or to other programs. And I think that would be an interesting possibility for us in the state to offer, because we are seeing that our college-age population is decreasing. And so I think it would be a great recruitment tool I now chair the Ohio Higher Ed Committee, and serving our colleges and universities is at the forefront of my mind right now. So doing that, I think, would be one of the things that we could do to enhance the value of veterans in this state. We've done several bills. I used to be vice chair of the Armed Services and Veterans Affairs Committee, and as part of that I got to travel to Washington and to meet with several of the leaders in the military community about what they could do to help states, and there was some really good dialogue there. And actually your predecessor went, and I'm hoping he brought some of those back with him, but some of the good ideas are how do we track veterans when they come into our community. Right now it's a voluntary system, and trying to get that information so that we can let them know what resources are out there for them, whether it be job possibilities, technical training, mental health access. And so those are some of the things I think that we could work to improve on.
Well, that's really important because we know we really want veterans to come back to Ohio and we want them to bring their friends.
Yes.
And especially with the new announcement from Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted about Intel coming, we know we have some very specific needs and they are very intent on hiring veterans. So I really appreciate what you are doing to help draw our veterans back to Ohio, and hopefully they can bring their friends with them as they come. So are there any closing comments or anything that I didn't ask you that you'd love to tell us about?
No, I just want to thank the administration, Governor DeWine, and seeing you everywhere I go. You are very active in the veterans community, and I know the veterans greatly appreciate that. So I want to thank you guys for everything that you have done to help our veterans. We know that there's some serious mental health challenges, and I know that you guys are working on that, and that brings me, a lot of hope for our state. So thank you.
Well, it's my privilege to serve, and I just love serving beside all the veterans that are in the State House, and you've just always been on the top of my list that I could go to and get some good answers and always get good feedback as well. Thank you for giving us your time today. I know you're very, very busy.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'll look forward to seeing you at our next event.
Indeed. Representative Lenise was at our State Women's Conference in 2019, and guess what? We're doing it again. On August 6th, we will again be hosting the Ohio Women Veterans Conference in Columbus. Women from all branches of the service and all eras and all backgrounds are invited and encouraged to attend. Log on to ohiovets.gov for more information, updates, and to register for this outstanding event. And now we continue our Women's Veterans Forum with two veterans who continue their service by working at our Ohio Veterans Homes. Welcome to Lisa Woodward from our home in Georgetown, and welcome to Ashley Couch from our home in Sandusky. I'm excited to talk with both of you today. I think we have some service in common that we can discuss, but I'd like to start with letting each of you introduce yourself and just tell us about with whom you served, where you served, and when you served. So let's start with Ashley.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here. I served in the Ohio Army National Guard from 2000 until 2009, and I started at Camp Perry. That was my first unit. We were located at Camp Perry, the 213th Missile Maintenance Company, which a few years later ended up disbanding. And from there, I served over in Toledo at the 323rd Military Police Company from about 2006 until 2009. And then I ended up getting out in 2009.
Thanks. And Lisa, how about you?
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having me also. I served in the reserves from 1984 to 1986, and then I got restless, so I joined the active duty military, and I was stationed in Darmstadt, Germany. The company was HHB 32nd ADCOM, and I served there from 1986 February until 1989, and then I was discharged from the military from there.
What was your occupational skill?
71 Lima, administrative specialist.
And Ashley, you were maintenance or missile maintenance?
I was 42 Alpha personnel. Oh. Yes.
Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that Lisa and I went to basic training at the same place at Fort Jackson.
Yes.
Maybe I was a few years ahead of you. Ashley, where did you go to basic training?
Fort Jackson for me as well, ma'am.
And what year was that?
So that would have been 2001.
Okay, so we've all got that in common. I assume that I had never seen pine needles that long or pile of red ants that big. So I don't know whether you had some of the same experiences, but my greatest fear was being eaten alive by red ants.
Yes.
But Lisa, you and I both were stationed in Europe also. So I was there in the very early 80s. I was there 81 to 83. When were you there?
I was there from February of 86, and then I left Germany in, oh my gosh, I think it was February of 88. 88, yes.
So
And,
I found that as a fabulous experience. And we traveled extensively to a lot of European countries while we were there. Did you?
Yes. And that was my main reason for joining the military, was to travel and also to get out of my shell. I was very shy and introverted. But yes, I traveled quite a bit. I went to Holland, Spain, France, Paris, East Germany. We saw the wall. before we came down.
Me too.
Let's see where else? London, and I think that was it. I wanted to do more, but my time ran out.
And you realize that as a U.S. military person, there it was like you were rich. You had the funds to go do all that kind of travel. It was fantastic. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And there was a place on base. You could go in there, and they had all these brochures. It was like a tourist
Yes.
situation, but they had all these brochures. And if you wanted to go to London, you just say, okay, I pay $150 and you go to London for the weekend. You just they just take you on a bus, or then of course, you have to, come back home on the bus. But yes, it was great.
I did a good number of those bus tours myself.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Now, I realize that I think both of you met your spouses in the military. Yes.
Correct.
At first, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Ashley, tell us about how that came to be.
Well, I was working at Camp Perry in the summer doing, it used to be called ADSW. I think they call it something else now, active duty special work, it was called. And so I did things like I worked in the range tower when they had the national matches come in at Camp Perry, and, make sure the impact area was clear. I'd cut grass and everything. And my husband was doing, well, my future husband was doing his annual training there at Camp Perry. And we had a mutual friend, and we just started hanging out, and history after that. So he was also, in the Guard, and he was in the 324th Military Police Company, and they were doing their HE up there. But you guys were talking about Germany. My husband was in Germany from 2006 until 2007. So I got the chance to visit him there. So yeah, that just everything you're describing was the things they did when they were there as well. A lot of traveling, and it was pretty cool to be a part of that in some way too.
And in that time period, and I don't mean to disparage anything, but Americans were really revered while you were there. They really wanted you there. They were happy to see you, and they would help you work through the language barriers and all that. I trust that you had the same experience.
Yes.
So I guess what I really, really want to know is, do you think that your time in service in the military helped bring you to where you are working with our veterans today in our Ohio veterans homes? Lisa.
Oh, yes. It opened up a lot of doors for me. First of all, I didn't know I was a veteran when I was a veteran. I went to, I don't know, I was going to some kind of program, and they asked me, are you a veteran? I said, no. I said, a veteran is someone who served in the Vietnam War. That's how shy and naive I was. Okay. But yes, but it did. And then once they found out I was a veteran, they said, oh, okay, you can apply for this program or that program. Plus it led me to working for the county as a veteran service officer too. So yes, it helped a lot.
That's awesome. And I wish that story wasn't very familiar, but there's so many women who serve who don't realize that they are also veterans. I mean, frequently they say, oh no, I only did one stint.
Right.
I'm like, see that guy over there with the big hat on? He only
Yeah.
served one stint too, but he sees himself as a veteran. You are a veteran. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is a common issue with women. So Ashley, so tell me about how you ended up at the veterans home, and did your service kind of lead you there?
Absolutely. I live in Norwalk, which is just a short drive away from the home. I, always had revered it when driving by, and I always kind of had a feeling that I might work here someday. And I shared, and I don't share always because I don't know how it makes me sound, but I interviewed here many times before I actually did get a position here. And I just felt like it was worth it to continue the effort towards trying to get a position here. And now that I'm here, I know I did the right thing. It's just a special place. There's so many wonderful people here, and to be a part of, to be able to touch the veterans' lives in some small way, it really does give you purpose. And I knew in my heart that that was a place that I wanted to end up, and I'm just thrilled that it actually happened.
What a great thing. And that does just show that we are very discerning in who we hire, and that you made the cut. So that's awesome. So what I'm interested in is, when you come out of the military, you have a certain core values and certain ethics and ethos that you've learned to live by. Do you feel like those same values and ethos continue in the service you are in now with our veterans at our veterans homes? Ashley, you first.
Yes, I definitely feel like what I've learned in the military with, duty, selfless service, integrity, it definitely corresponds to what you want to bring to the table when you come to work here at the Veterans Home. And I think those things are valued here, and respected here, and it makes you want to stick around because I feel we have corresponding values, and it definitely, makes it very special to work here.
That's what I want to hear. Lisa, how about you? Do you think that those core values, those ethos, and those things that you lived by in the military carry you through to where you are today?
Oh, absolutely too. I think that, well, as far as the military, I went in with I always had lots of discipline anyway. Um, but as far as being able to handle situations that occur at work or at home, I was able to know that I could do it because I thought, well, if I can stay up all night, doing guard duty or be in the cold at 20 below zero, or not pretty cold, but um, I knew that I could handle it with my civilian life also. And plus, I just love the ability for me to communicate with other people, especially veterans. It's like a family. We're all like a family, and you always want to keep in touch with them. But of course, life goes on, and you forget about each other, but you still remember.
Yes.
Yes,
And at some point, it's amazing how often you interact with somebody that you served with. So at least
yes.
you had said that you were really very shy. So it
Hmm.
seems like you've come out of that shell a little bit because I can't imagine how your work with helping veterans connect with the benefits and things that they've earned work with a very shy person. How did you overcome that?
Life, wisdom, life's experiences, the different jobs I held. When I worked at New Housing Opportunity, I my supervisor was wonderful. She made me talk in front of people, and she made me be more assertive. And little by little, year after year, I got better and better. And then and then working here, or also working for the county, same thing. Forced to do speeches, forced to talk, forced to know what you're doing. Not forced to know what you're doing, but and then
You kind
working
of, you know.
here, and then the confidence of knowing what you're doing. like like as far as working here, I feel like I'm really well rounded, and I feel very confident to talk to people about the veterans home. I can pretty much almost answer any question that they have now. I've gotten to that
Wow.
point. So that makes it more comfortable to talk. But yeah, deep down inside, I'm still that shy little girl, but I'm a lot better than what I used to be.
I love that, and I think the military does do that for us. It gives us a self-confidence that they are.
Yes.
So Ashley, tell us how you have a family history of military service. Can you tell us a little bit about who on your family has served that helped lead you to this point?
Yes, both my grandfathers, one was in the Marine Corps and one was in the Navy. My stepdad served in Vietnam in the Army. And then my husband, like I said, we met in the Army National Guard, and our daughter is also now serving in the Army National Guard. She is just in her first year. She graduated from AIT last June, and she's just, we're so proud of her at 20 years almost to the day from when I shipped, and close to when her dad shipped too, but I tell him my date, 20 years to the day almost. I think short one day, she shipped, and she's just, I can already see the difference in her. I mean, she already had a lot of discipline as well. She's just one of those really hard working, tough girls. So proud of her. But this has even just enhanced that, given her that confidence, and allowing her to see that she really can do anything she wants. She really can, she can go for it. And I think when you graduate from basic training, you see like this is something I knew I could do, but now I actually did it. And so I think it's kind of meant the world to her, and we're just so proud of her.
Oh, I think that's awesome. And I remember when you shared that with me that she was deploying at that point. That's pretty significant. Um, I also you have something in common with Representative Laura Lanise, who I spoke with just a little while ago, in that you've seen the military from all sides as being a military kid, being a military member, being a military spouse, and now being a military mom. Which was the hardest?
Oh, mom, for sure. I mean, without question, when you hear about anything going on in the world now, your heart kind of just it feels different because you know that that could be your child, and you know that they knew what they signed up for and you're proud of them. That's the whole reason we have this pride is we know what that commitment is and what they signed up for, but there's still just that longing of, not my baby. But of course, yeah, being a mom, military mom by far.
Do you know, my brother was, I come from a long family of service too. And I remember my brother was one of the first National Guard units deployed to the Gulf War. And he took this young girl who was just out of high school too. And he says every time he put her in the cab, it was a truck company. He said he just remembered the look on her mother's face and her order to him to bring my daughter home safely. And he said, I never kept her off any missions, but I thought about that every time I saw her take on that next mission. And I think that that's the goodness of what probably the National Guard does bring over active duties, that we do know families and extended families that serve. So, and being the mom of a former service member, I get that as well. So Lisa, I know that you and your first husband served in the military. Did you have other family members?
Yes, my current husband, he was in the military. And also, I have about, I'd say 6 uncles that served in the military, but not my dad, none of my grandfathers, mostly just uncles. And I have a couple cousins and also my son-in-law. He's in the Marine Corps right now.
So what did your parents think when you decided to join the military when they hadn't served?
My mom and dad, they really didn't have a lot of expression about some of the things I did. They were just more like, "Oh, you want to do that? Okay." That was always supportive. They really didn't have like, "Don't do that" or "Do that." So I basically let them know that I was going to join, and they just, "Oh, okay," and we went from there. That was it.
Well, I would share with you that I also had that charmed life of parents who never told me there was something I couldn't do. So it never
Right.
occurred to me that there was something out there that I couldn't do. And I just hope that we continue to instill that. I mean, I think that our sons kind of get raised that way, but for
Yeah.
daughters to get that message as well, I think is very important and helps us to get to places where you all are. So what I have missed out on is letting you each tell us. So Ashley, what do you do for our Ohio Veterans Home?
So when I came here about 9 years ago, I came in human resources and I stayed in human resources until just under a year ago. Now I am a special projects manager, and currently my most current assignment is to get us ready for our next cemetery inspection. So that's something that we're kind of revitalizing how we track things and how we prepare. We did have an inspection last year, and so I'm kind of just overseeing that now, among other things, but that's the most current thing. So I'm doing I work for Ross Matlack, our superintendent, and anytime something comes up that he needs an extra set of hands, extra set of eyes, I'm kind of there for that as well. So
We always need that special projects person, but I can only imagine the strong sense of honor that you feel working on that project in our cemeteries. Because what greater honor can we pay to those who came before us?
I'm so thrilled to be asked. I was so touched to be asked, and I take it very seriously. I'm very committed to making it as just amazing as possible, as beautiful as possible. And so yeah, it's just a real honor.
I love that. So, Lisa, what do you do for our Ohio Veterans Home down in Georgetown?
Well, I've been here since 2003, no, 2004, sorry. I assist our veterans and their family members with accessing their benefits through the Department of Veterans Affairs, like disability compensation, veterans pension, survivors benefits. I don't do home loans for them. That's very rare. Um, and then also I advise them and I listen to them and I, support them. And I just really enjoy what I do.
That's awesome. I
It's
think that has to
wonderful.
be very rewarding to help them. Sometimes they don't even know what they have earned through their service, and to be able to
Right.
connect them that way has to be pretty special. So, as we try to wrap up here a little bit, I would like for you to tell me one small story, maybe not too lengthy, about an interaction you've had with one of our great veterans in the homes that really has touched your heart. So, Ashley, why don't you start?
Okay, so last Veterans Day, I had the privilege to do some closing remarks when Governor and Mrs. DeWine came to speak. And it was after that that I had a couple of our veterans who had been able to, participate in the day, came to me and thanked me for speaking. And I just felt like they're thanking me. It just felt kind of surreal, and I was just really touched by that, and it gave me, of course, the opportunity to thank them for their service and to just be among them on that day. It just gave me a real sense of pride, and it was a real honor.
I love that, and your remarks were very poignant, and I really received them well. And as a matter of fact, I have a copy of those remarks that I refer to every now and then. So that's a great story. So Lisa, how about you?
There's so many, but the one I think of more than anything is when we had the Wreaths Across America, and one of our veterans, who I was really close to, World War II veteran, and he wanted me to be the one that was with him during the ceremony, and we both took the wreath and placed it where it was supposed to be, and we got our picture taken afterwards, and he had the picture in his room, and so that was special. And he passed away, but it was real special.
What a great honor. That's probably the best honor you could have.
Oh
Well, let me
yeah.
wrap things up by saying thank you to both of you for serving our great country in the uniform of our military. It's less than 1% of our nation that does serve, so you're kind of an elite group there, and I appreciate that. And for forging the way to show other women how they can serve, how they can make a difference, and continue to make a difference with their lives. And even most importantly, let me thank you for what you do for our veterans at our Ohio Veterans Home. I can't imagine any two people I would like more to have that important role. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was an honor.